guys, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed HMS Belfast last week. This week, I'm getting straight back into the painting and filling. Starting off with just stripping the kitchen out of all the drawers, the trim that doesn't need to be there, taking the cupboard doors off, just stripping it back to as bare as I can get it. Metal trim we put on, we used Gorilla Glue, so it expands a little bit, and it oozed out of the edges and looks super messy. You can see where it's oozed over the edges, it just looks really scrappy and not great. Hoping that I can clean it off and it'll just look nicer than what it did before. So we're going to put these brackets on when we built our overhead cupboards. I don't really like seeing them anymore. So I'm going to try and recess the bracket, just cut around it, put it back in, fill over the top. You'll never know it's there, but it'll still be doing its job. So hopefully that works. I think it's kind of worked. I had to redo all of my cabling here, move all that out of the way, so it's quite messy now, just so I could get the saw in there to cut it. But yeah, it's all recessed in there now, a bit of filler, bit of paint, never know who's there. Today's plan is give everything a quick clean up because it's getting quite messy in here, then go around, sand all the spots I filled again, see if anything else needs doing. Hopefully by the end of today, I'll be done with white paint. So that is the target, end of today, done with white paint. So first off, I've already swept the floor. Second is take the fridge out, because I want to paint behind the fridge. And yeah, so let's take the fridge out, then I can see if any spots need filling there, then let's paint it. Our fridge is held in place by 4 screws, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, into wooden battens I put on the outside. So just behind these little caps, pop that off, behind there, and it's just screwed in. So that's all that's holding our fridge in place is 4 little screws. So I've already taken this one out. Let's screw out, put the cap back in, and move on to the next one. Taken the mattress and the slats out, I can get to these side panels here to replace the screws and then fill them in and then repaint it. So hopefully the mattress should be back in by tonight, maybe tomorrow morning. So next job is fill all these little holes, swap the screws out, get all this area prepped ready for painting. I think by now I must be on like the 5th coat of sanding and filling. It's getting a bit tedious and boring, but I think in the end it's gonna pay off and look really nice if I spend the time now and not rush it, get it looking good. Hopefully this time is my final go over of sanding and filling in some final holes, and then obviously after a final sand. So got a little bit more to sand back there. I've already done from the bottom of the bed forward, so I've just got the bed area to do a sand and then a final fill, and come back in like an hour and do a final sand. You may have noticed last night as I was finishing up, I snapped the support for the table. Yeah, gotta fix the table now. Wasn't in my original plan. Gonna finish the paint first. I don't need to fix the table right now, but get the paint finished first, and then we'll look at trying to fix the table and then make it better so it doesn't break again. Today, managed to get overhead cupboards painted, walls painted, bedside storage boxes painted, and the bench seats painted. I didn't get a chance to do the kitchen, so end of white paint painting tomorrow. Mark my words. New day. Already painted the kitchen, filled and sanded down any of the holes, imperfections I found around the van. Be finally done with white paint in the next hour, which would be fantastic. Then we can deal with this cable tray. We're going to put a cable tray up here to contain these cables neatly, and that will really neaten this space up. So, maybe final, go through of white paint has just been completed. There's a couple of sections I haven't done on purpose, like these bits here, and the same down there, just 'cause I know they're going to get scuffed up with other projects I have to do, so I'm going to paint them at the very last. But everything else looks so much better in this white. So, calling it a day for today. I'm cleaning up the paints tomorrow. First job is I'm going to get this cable tray in, and because all the cables have been here, I haven't been able to paint this bottom piece. So once they're in, I can throw a bit of paint on there. That's that bit done. After that, I can get the fridge back in, and then I can look at painting all the bits of trim to go on. Might not get them stuck on tomorrow. Be nice, but definitely painted tomorrow, depending on the weather. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow there should be some big steps in progress. But we'll see you tomorrow. Already today I've installed the cable track. Just cleans all those cables up, keeps them hidden, and then I've just got this temporary thing to make permanent, but I'm not doing that today. Plan for today is fix the bed that I broke. I know I said yesterday about the trimming that's going on these edges that I was going to paint it first. I'm actually going to glue it on first. I'm just going to mask the edges where I need to, just because I'm still not convinced that it needs to be white, or if it should be left like plain wood. So I kind of need to see it up. So I'm going to glue it up, and it's just as easy to mask it off if we decide to paint it. So that's the first job of today, to get that on so the glue starts drying. First piece of trim on, What do you think? I quite like it like this, but I don't think Mychele likes it. I think she wants it painted. So, but let the glue dry, I'll take all the clamps off and then really get a taste of what it's going to look like. But I think it definitely hides the edges, does that job, so that's what it's there for. The colour really isn't a huge deal, it's just to hide the rough edges, which is doing perfectly. So now I'm going to move on to trying to fix the table. Luckily I've got the bits of wood that I need already from doing other bits in the house. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the same design or try and improve it. I think the same design because it was just me being stupid and standing on it where it wasn't supposed to be. It was never designed to be stood on. So I think just replace the bit that snapped and hope I haven't bent the drawer runner. After that, hopefully then this piece of trim we just put in is dry enough. Take the clamps off, then I can put another bit on and we'll just go from there. First job of table repairs is clear the table and then try and see if I can get it out of the runner, because I tried like last night before I finished and I couldn't move it, so it's jammed somewhere. Hopefully that jam doesn't mean that the runner's bent and that I need to buy a new one, because they weren't particularly cheap. Got the table out. It suffered some injuries. Let's have a look. A big gouge here. Big gouge there. Another one here. Big divot there. And then just a few scratches. The table itself is fine, it's just the cover we put on it didn't really survive. So, my options. Well, obviously we're going to need to get more of that sticky back plastic to replace it. I think the runner survived, which is handy. So I'm going to go replace the framework for the table. So at least then the slats can go back in and the mattress can go back in. Everything else I can fix later. Table update. Replaced 2 bits of wood that I snapped. Just waiting. I've reinforced it with a bit of glue and some longer screws and brackets, so it shouldn't break again. So now I'm adding this piece here. We added this piece originally when we went around Wales and visited my grandparents. Because when I built the bed, I built it a little bit too far into the van, so if the mattress is like pushed up against the back door, we have about that much of the bed frame that you can see from the living area. So we've added this piece here and we're going to paint it white and it'll blend in nicely, I think, just to hide so you can't see into the garage. This is probably one of the last things that gets painted just because there'll be a lot of stepping on it while I'm still doing other things in the van. But I think that's where we'll leave the video here for this week. There will be no more long videos of painting. It'll just be like a couple of touch-ups here and there, but the big bulk of the painting is done. Next big job is refitting all the cupboard doors and adding the bits of detailing we want to do to them, but more on that next time. See you next week.